Hello and welcome back to the New York Virtual Photo Salon. I'm Levon Hall, your host for this event. Thank you for tuning in last time. I hope you learned something new. But if you haven't seen last week's episode and the rest of our awesome speakers, click on the links in the description. For tonight's guest artist, I was so psyched when Nichole Washington agreed to present her amazing work. So leave us comments, subscribe, and like this channel. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Thanks for watching.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nichole Washington. I am a visual artist, and I'm super excited and very honored to be sharing my artwork with this community. I guess I will talk a little bit about the trajectory of my work and my career, and talk a little bit about my process in between there. So let's see. I have been photographing since I was a young girl. I remember when I was, I don't know, like maybe in like middle school or something like that, I would buy those Kodak throwaway cameras and I would dress my friends up and I would just take photos of them. And it was really funny because back then I didn't really think of myself as a photographer. I think because I didn't know any photographers, but I knew that I loved making images. And I didn't do much with them. I would just like be happy to get them printed. Like that was really exciting. Like when I would pick them up. And it was also really exciting to like dress my friends up. So I knew that like I was really interested in constructing the image. And I was really into fashion magazines at a very early age, like even like in grade school. I had a subscription to Elle magazine, and I used to just like flip through the pages, and I was really obsessed with like the editorials and the advertisement images, like fashion advertisements, especially like the images where the subject took up most of the frame. Like I would just like flip through and just consume images. But I didn't really recognize like, oh, I want to be a photographer, or that I knew that I wanted to create images. And so by the time I started college, I went to school for fashion marketing because I knew that I was interested in fashion. And when I finished my undergrad, I thought that maybe I wanted to be a stylist. And then I did some assisting for styling, and I realized that wasn't the area that I was most interested in. And I think I was starting a fashion blog when I was really like, okay, I'm going to really like try to train myself as a photographer and really take it more seriously. And so as I started to get more into photography, and because I was taking self-portraits for this fashion blog, I became more interested in the photography than really the fashion aspect of it, I guess. I would take self-portraits, and I became really interested in it as a form of self-expression. And so that's when I realized that photography was this tool that I could use to kind of explore just different areas of identity and different things that I was interested in. But it was really, I guess, this tool that I could use to explore myself in the outside world. And so I started to take classes around different institutions in New York for photography. And eventually I started to assist photographers, but I still hadn't really found like my main interest. I felt like I still hadn't found my voice as a photographer. And that is when I decided to start taking classes at School of Visual Arts. I started to look into their master's program. And I had seen some of the work that was coming out of the MPSDP program, Masters of Professional MPSDP, Masters of Professional Studies in Digital Photography. Sorry. And I really loved the work that was coming out of that program. And so I came to visit the school and I applied for the program. I got in And throughout the program, it was still a process of like me really trying to find my voice. And again, I still knew that there was something about identity that was very strong in my work. I was really trying to express something within myself, but I also liked to use other subjects. And also, like, fashion was a big aspect of that, because I believe that fashion is a really great way to express your identity. And so when I started working on my thesis, and as I was looking for a thesis advisor, I realized I wasn't really limited to just photographers, because there were so many different things that influenced my work, whether it be like paintings or again, fashion. I was just interested in all of these different areas of art that informed my photography. And so it was actually a painter, Tim Okamura, who became my thesis advisor, because I just saw something of myself in his work. He creates these portraits often of women that are really empowering. And so I was really interested in learning about his process and to see how that could strengthen my work and help me to strengthen my vision. And so when he began to be my thesis advisor, he was the one that suggested that I start painting on my photos, because he was saying that, you know, the photos were great and they were really sharp and crisp, but there was something of my voice that was missing in them. And also I should mention that I had realized what my thesis project was going to be. I wanted to explore 1990s female hip hop artists, and I wanted to express the different ways in which they empowered me during that time. And so, you know, one of the things that my thesis advisor was suggesting is that, you know, really going back and looking at the art in the 90s, and it was such a period where art was much more gritty and cut and paste, and really that I should explore putting my hands like physically in my work a little bit more. And so it was when I started to paint on my photographs that it was like, this all comes together. Because also, you know, growing up, I did a lot of sketching. Like, I was always kind of like doodling or sketching or painting. And what I realized when I started to paint on my photographs was that, this is a way to bring all of my different voices and interests into one form. And so that was kind of like a breakthrough for me when I started to paint on my photographs, because I really felt that like I could express myself more fully in a more mixed media fashion. And so I finished my thesis project, and what I would do, the process of my thesis project, was that I was photographing different women who I felt had this kind of like bold and expressive energy. And I was looking at a lot of these images of 1990s female hip hop artists, and I was mimicking those poses when photographing my subjects. And then I would do some digital manipulation to isolate the photograph, and I would print that photograph out, and then I would paint on the photograph. And so once I graduated, I felt really honored that a lot of people took interest in my thesis project. I had done some portfolio reviews while I was in school too, and I was like really I guess when I found out that I wanted to do mixed media, it also started to narrow down the different types of artists that I was interested in. And so I began to like show up to events of artists that I felt like, this is an area where I would like to be interested in. And it was interesting too, because when I graduated, I still didn't fully realize or discover what type of photography that I wanted to do. Like some people know, like I want to be a fashion photographer, or I want to be a sports photographer, or I want to photograph, I don't know, celebrity portraits. I didn't know what that was, but I did know what my voice was. I did know that like I like to create bold, empowering images, often around women's identity and women's empowerment. And so when I graduated, I began to get work that was in line with that vision. One of my first jobs was I photographed a job for Refinery29, which is all about women's empowerment. And I was photographing DeWanda Wise, who had starred in Spike Lee's new Netflix version of She's Gotta Have It. And they had asked that I create images that were very similar to the art that I created for my thesis project. And it was interesting because when they asked me to do that, I was a little bit conflicted because I wasn't sure if I wanted, I had seen it like as art and not editorial then. But I realized, it's something different, when I'm asked to do something editorially, and I still put in the same amount of work. But, the subjects are different. The intention is behind it is different. And so I eventually became okay with doing that kind of work, working editorially, that creating images that were inspired by my, I guess, more fine art work, but doing it editorially. And actually, since then, it's been really cool because I feel like the kinds of jobs that I get are very in line with my artwork. And as my art kind of develops, the further along I go in my career, I feel like the type of work that I get stays in line with work that I am creating. So since then, I guess some of my favorite jobs have been, I created a mural for Black Girls Code. And I used photo and paint. And for that job, I actually used someone else's photograph because they had a set of photographs of the girls that attend Black Girls Code. And they asked me to use those photographs to create a mural, to come there in person in San Francisco and create a mural. And I was okay with that too, because it's still a reflection of my work, and I see it kind of like as a collaboration. And I also created, I've done some movie poster work and done other editorial works. And so it's kind of cool because I feel like the professional work that I get is a mix of a lot of different things. Sometimes it's just illustration design, and sometimes it's, I'll be asked to do the photography and the illustration, but it's all a reflection of the kind of work that I create with my more fine art works. And I also exhibit and sell works in the fine art world. So I'm kind of like, have one foot in, I guess, the editorial world and one foot in the fine art world, which is okay with me because I don't have these like strong borders around how I define myself as an artist. I think that's it. I'm still creating works that are about women's empowerment. And also other subjects too, but, and I'm still creating, using photo and paint, and that is just, those mediums just work really well for me. That's it, I guess. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I am so honored. Thank you for NY Photo Salon for asking me to be a part of this series. And I wish you all well. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nichole. Your work simply captures the beauty and colorfulness of your subjects, as well as yourself. I'm just intrigued by your creativity and can't wait to see more. I hope everyone enjoyed the story behind these elaborate art pieces. Please give it a thumbs up, leave comments, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you all for tuning in and the New York Virtual Photo Salon Committee. I'm Lavon Hall, and we'll see you next time with some more exciting speakers.